What's up, y'all, and welcome back to another video. This channel doesn't really have an identity. I don't know what I want it to be yet or exactly what I'm going to do with it, but nonetheless, if I have some information that I think could be helpful to someone else, here's where I'm going to post it. So this particular video relates to a 97 Toyota 4Runner that I have. It is a limited four-wheel drive with the push-button shifter, and it has 325,000 miles on it. Now, I daily drive this truck. I keep it rotated, keep it moving, keep it lubricated, however you want to look at it. But here recently it started throwing a P0758 code for Solenoid B. It has the A340E transmission in it. So Solenoid B, for those of you, or Solenoid in general, for those of you who don't know much about transmissions, and by no means am I an expert, basically is a gatekeeper inside the transmission to allow fluid to pass or to prevent it from passing. And so a transmission operates on fluid pressure, and when the fluid pressure is allowed to travel through the valve body, it can engage different parts, which has a direct effect on which gear your transmission is in. So when a solenoid fails, you can have a lot of issues. So step number one for me with this solenoid code was to go ahead and pull the pan, drain the fluid, pull the pan, and change the filter. Now, when I drained the fluid, it was basically gray. It hadn't been changed in a long time, but it didn't smell burnt, so I was okay with that. And when I looked at the magnets in the pan, inspected them, I didn't have anything more than a gray sludge build up on them. So no big chunks of metal, nothing of real concern by my eyes. And so I went ahead and put the pan back on, put the new filter in, and filled the transmission back up and took it down the road. Now, this was a good faith attempt to see if this remedied the problem, because I thought, hey, maybe the solenoid is getting clogged up with the debris in the fluid. So nonetheless, that did not fix it. So I went ahead and started doing some more kind of generic testing with it. Took it down the road, manually shifted through the gears. Understand that I still have first, second, third, and fourth. I've not dropped a gear anywhere, and I didn't have any metal chunks in the pan. So what it was doing is it wouldn't shift from first to second, and it wouldn't downshift from third to second. It was skipping second altogether. So if I was driving it down the street and I stretched first out all the way and let off of it, it would hard shift to third, and then it would shift to overdrive, no problem. But in no way could I really get it to go in second, except for when it felt like it. Periodically, it would shift from first to second or downshift from third to second, and once the gear was engaged, I was fine. But if I couldn't get it to engage, it would just slip and the engine would rev and it wouldn't actually actuate that gear. So I went ahead and jumped on Rock Auto based on the principle that I didn't have junk in the pan and I still had all my gears. I went ahead and ordered the 3-pack from ATP and got them to the house. Did the same thing over, drained the fluid, pull the pan, pull the filter, and replaced all 3 of the solenoids. Now, if you're thinking about doing this job yourself, it's not hard. Really, the worst of it is dealing with the fluid, having somewhere to contain it or a way to contain it without making a mess, and then cleaning the mating surfaces up when it's time to put it back together. That's really the most finicky part about it. Changing the solenoids, 1 bolt per solenoid, a wire connector that you can undo with your fingers. Doesn't take any fancy tools, doesn't take a screwdriver or anything like that. And then popping the new ones back in, reassemble, fill back up with fluid, and drive. So just want to say that I had the P0758. All of the circumstances look good. I went ahead and replaced them, and it did fix my problem. Now, not only that, replacing all 3 solenoids also, I think, has had an impact on how the transmission shifts collectively, both up and down. It seems to shift a little faster, a little firmer than it did before. So I think when you have a truck that has a lot of miles on it, like these 4Runners can do, I mean, they consistently hit 500,000, you're going to run into issues eventually where things just start to fail, not because of a design fault, but because they are just really old and they are really overused. So if you have any questions for me pertaining to replacing a solenoid or what it was like or my experience, please drop them down below. If you find this video helpful, hit the like button. And if you want to see some more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing. But I really don't know what the future of this channel is. I just know when I have something helpful or when I have something informational, I'm going to drop it right here. That way someone dealing with the same thing or having the same question as me has somewhere to go for information. So P0758 code, no junk in the pan, okay, still have all your gears. It very well could be a failed solenoid, and you might be able to save your transmission by replacing it yourself. not too bad of a job. And again, I say I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But until the next video, peace.